What a great host.
It was a lot of fun,
Man.
and yeah, she had some fun questions and had a good time with us, and yeah, it was I was just happy to do it. I emailed her, I thanked her, and I told her I hope that we gave her a good show.
Absolutely. And just the stripper names, that was hilarious. Well, Chop is the sausage, and Fred had the mullet back there. You're the mullet.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Got to be the mullet. What else can there be? I think Annette was smitten with you, Wildcard.
I have that effect on people.
Yeah. She was, and I think she called Dreadbull hot for Dreadbull. Yeah, look at that.
I know the mullet and Goldilocks there hitting it up.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
She knows what's up.
Well, I thanked her. Already sent her an email. Thanked her for letting us be on her show, and I said I hope he gave her an entertaining show, and that we all had a good time.
So
There's Jarvis. All right.
How you doing? Hey guys.
Good, man. How about yourself?
Hey,
good. Let me get adjusted here. Sorry, I just walked in the door. Like fucking gale force winds outside. I had to fucking run a comb through my hair. I look like Albert Einstein, but not smart.
Nice.
All right, there we go. What's up?
Excellent. Hey, we are so glad that you could join us, Jarvis. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Vic, haven't seen you in forever, man. The place is looking good.
I know. Thanks, man. Thanks.
You got a SM7 mic. You're all pro. I'm just
man. I try to look good.
I'm just talking on the phone here. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that sounds
good.
Man. I did that forever, so
okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we know you're over in Ireland doing your big festival. Are you got the time to hang out with us? You're cool with that?
Yeah, of course. I just went to an event tonight and just check something out with one of the other organizers. There's a big city event on tonight. So yeah, I just came home, took a break to chat with you guys about the cool stuff, and then we'll see where the night takes us.
All right, sounds good. Well, we'll get right into it then.
Hey, this is Daniel DK from Exciter, Diamonds, Banger TV, and way too many other things to list. And you are listening to Heavy Metal Horror.
I am Montag, master of illusion. What goes up must come down, but not always.
Hey, this is Chop Top, and this one's going to be demonic.
And Dreadbull.
Wildcard.
And you are watching and listening to Heavy Metal Horror. Oh,
see, Jarvis is already getting into it.
Yes, I know. I can't.
We don't ever give our guests the memo to do that stuff, so it's just awkward for you guys.
When we do our outro, then he'll join us and he'll know what to do. He'll feel good, yes.
The two things I love most: heavy metal and horror.
Beautiful.
You're getting to the right place.
Yeah.
Kiddies, tonight we've got a really, really good show. We are talking with Jarvis Leatherby from bands like Cirith, Ungol, and Night Demon. Jarvis, welcome to Heavy Metal Horror.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We are really excited. I really dig your music.
Thank you.
And when I was listening to Cirith, Ungol, it made me think this would be the perfect music to play Dungeons and Dragons 2. Were you a big gamer back in the day?
No, I've never played, to be honest.
Let's roll some characters, man. Let's do it.
I mean, yeah. Honestly, I was more into girls.
Yeah, you can't do both. You got to choose one or the other.
Donut shops are for the morning when you're hungover, not at night. But no, yeah, Cirith, Ungol. I mean, they've been a band for 50 years. I'm in no way, an original member or a songwriter. I'm the manager of the band. I'm the guy who reformed the band after, they were a band for 20 years. They broke up for 25 years, and I got them back together, and they asked me to manage the band, and I ended up getting four of the OG guys, and it didn't work out with the original bass player. So I'm kind of there by default as far as that goes. And, you know, I mean, I'm a big fan of the band, and I'm kind of like the gatekeeper and like the final editor of the band, you know? So I manage the band as a fan. And I think that's what bands like that need, you know, because you get older and time goes on, and, you know, not to say that they're not relevant. I mean, I think they're very relevant, but I think it's because, you know, guys like me kind of like always input in those kind of values, you know, where it's like, look, I don't expect you to put on the leather and the spikes like you were 18 again, but like the corn shirt is not worn on stage, you know? Yeah.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
you're doing them a solid there, man.
Right.
That's for sure.
So yeah, I'm a fan.
That reminds me a lot of the Daniel DK, who we just interviewed, and him joining Exciter, you know, a band that's been around for ages. And he kind of took over that role too, and booking shows for him and all that stuff. So
yeah, actually, Daniel's a good buddy of mine, actually. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Night Demon is going to be doing a tour with Exciter. We've got a package going out in the fall. I guess we haven't announced that, so that's an exclusive here for the podcast.
There you go.
There we go.
Yes.
But we've definitely bonded on those kinds of things. Exciter and Cirith Ungol have ended up on festivals together, and have had like just weird things happen, you know, with our older members of the band. Not quite rock star demands, but things of like, look, it's just not going to go this way this time. Like, it's going to be okay, kind of thing, you know. And so we kind of bond over that stuff, you know. But you know, much like him, those guys in Exciter with him, and the guys in Cirith Ungol with me, these guys, like we're like best friends with these guys, and they put their full trust and confidence in us, and we're able to make it so. I mean, these bands are finally making some money, you know, and they're able to play for their fans around the world that never got to see them, and a whole new generation of fans. You know, 80% of the audience for both those bands are you know, half their age, you know. So
that's really interesting too. Yeah, you're kind of like bridging so you're kind of talking about sort of the old way of doing things versus how things are done nowadays, and the differences there. Is that a struggle?
Yeah, it's not really, it's not too much of a struggle, because what a lot of things that people don't realize is like these bands, even though they may have seemed popular back then, they really weren't able to do a whole lot. You know, there was a lot of gatekeepers back in the day, you know, and independent records back in the day, you know, they weren't received as well. There wasn't a lot of, you know, Cirith Ungol never toured ever, and they still haven't. Fuck, I mean, like, we just headline festivals and stuff, like one-offs. Like, they never toured. They never left the state of California. They played in Mexico once in '82, but that's it. Like they never left the country or the state, and it was regional gigs. And it was like, they told me that before I managed the band, they never played a gig that didn't cost them money. So yeah, it's really interesting, man, you know. But we like to always glorify the past, as we do in horror cinema and all this stuff. It's like, we always look back on the past with rose-tinted glasses, whether it's your ex-girlfriend or your favorite band from the 80s, you know. Right. But they were probably smoking crack, both of them. You know? Like, you know? Together.
Nice. Well, speaking of glorifying bands, what was the first band you remember really liking?
You know, the first LP I got, I was born in '81. So the first LP I got was like in the mid '80s. When I started listening to music really young, because my dad was in his first band with Michael Anthony from Van Halen. So they were like, he was like a family friend. Wow. So like Van Halen was kind of the soundtrack of my life, but like of my youth, sorry. But like, it's kind of like when you're young, it's like what your parents like isn't cool, right? So it's like, you know, not that I did dig Van Halen, but Oingo Boingo, it was No Spilled Blood, I think. Yeah, that record I had, and it was the only LP I had. I listened to it for 2 years, but I didn't realize the speeds on the turntable. So I was listening, it was at 45 RPM, 12 inch, and I listened to it at a 33. So it was like, it was insane. It was just like, who do you want to
do metal?
Yeah. And then I finally, so it was heavy, man. But then, I got into like the California raisins and, things like that. Yeah, right. But nice. I remember there was a compilation back like when infomercials first started called Freedom Rock. And like it was like,
oh yeah, I remember that on TV.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yes.
Like, it had this like hippie guy or like kind of easy rider guy in the ad. And he's like, Freedom Rock, man, turn it up, right? So like I begged my parents to buy it, and they're like, dude, this is the songs we had in high school, And so it was really, I hate to say this is very cliche, but smoke on the water, like when you're 8 years old, it's like the buildup of the riff, and then the hi-hats come in, and then the kick drum comes in, and then the organ comes. It's just that buildup. My parents would like leave me home alone, and I would just turn that up as loud as it could go and pretend I was, Ian Pace or something. And that's kind of where it started. And then I got into like hardcore punk and started going to shows, because in Southern California back then, before the internet, if you're not in like LA Central, you're pretty isolated, and I know Vic too, like lives on the kind of the outskirts of the Cleveland area, so it's like you kind of just exposed to what's on TV or what your friend's older brother down the street gives you, So I started getting into going to punk shows and going, man, this is crazy. And like there was all this stuff, but back then the punk and the metal thing was very split. If you had long hair, you probably get beat up, So but I love the DIY-ness and the energy of it and all that. And then I got into Metallica, Maiden, Megadeth, AC/DC, stuff like that. And then that introduced me to the new wave of British heavy metal, and the rest is history. So that's just, I don't know. There's a lot of influences, but that, if I remember, that was the path. Oingo Boingo, California Raisins, Deep Purple, punk, metal, So,
Freedom Rock.
Yeah. Good trajectory.
Yeah, because you could really hear that punk style and influence in Night Demon as well.
Sure. I mean, I think it's part of our DNA. Like we grew up playing, and, my first bands were heavy metal bands, and we had nobody to play with but punk bands. And so I think all my friends were in punk bands, and we kind of just, they respected us because we brought a little bit more musicianship to the scene. But, it's younger. I was 13 years old, and I just remember I was just astounded that these guys were putting out their own records. Like they're like, fuck it, we don't need a label. We don't need any of that. Like we're putting out records, and it was like, holy shit, like you could do that, it was crazy. And so I think a lot of that stuff, and then hardcore and like hardcore punk started to get a little more metal with the Cro-Mags and Agnostic Front and stuff. And then into the 90s, and then even like punk rock turned to like new school punk, which was kind of bubblegummy. But besides like the Green Days and the Offsprings that were on MTV and the radio, the like whole fat record scene was really fast. And they had bands like No Effects, Lagwagon. They were playing guitar solos and stuff. So it's like when I heard that stuff, I was kind of like, okay, like there's something more happening here. And so I think all of that stuff, just in your developmental years, if you're around it, it's gonna seep into your DNA somehow.
Yeah. That you mentioned that. Can you talk a little bit about your personal evolution as a musician? I mean, all these influences are coming in. You're in these very different bands, and Night Demon kind of encompasses this. But how has that changed you or helped you evolve as a musician?
Yeah, so I mean, I basically came from the school of Metallica. So I grew up in a Christian school. My parents weren't religious, but they sent me. I was getting into like fights and stuff in public school, like really early on. I was 7, 8 years old, and things were just not going well. So they had to pony up some cash to put me in a Christian school. And I basically grew up with the same 20 or 30 kids from like age 8 to like 14. And it was pretty cool. Actually, now that I look back on it, a lot of those people are still good friends of mine. It was a good environment to grow up in. The education was better. I mean, but you had to learn about the Bible and shit. And if you didn't, there was a lot of things looking back on it. Like that shit does not age well, man. Like, I mean, dude, there were like kids in our class that we knew were gay, and like we're constantly being told that like that is wrong, and like you could see on their face that they believed it was wrong. You know, they believed but it was wrong, but like, what's wrong with me kind of thing, you know, right? So that was a lot of shit. But anyway, the short story of that is when I was in the 8th grade, they showed us a 3-hour video, a documentary called Hell's Bells. And you can actually find it on YouTube now. I recommend watching it because it was basically in the height of the satanic panic, or at least at the tail end of it. And it's really like what got me into everything. Like I had known popular stuff, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Alice in Chains, and of course the Van Halen stuff. But like, man, when they showed us this stuff, like basically what happened is the next day at school, most of the class brought like their CDs to school and their tapes. And like, they had a big record smashing party with hammers and all this stuff. And me and 2 other guys were like, dude, this is amazing. Like, we need to get into this, you know? So like, because they had showed us, they had broken down songs like Metallica's Fade to Black is about suicide. We're like, oh, we didn't even know that song. All we know is Enter Sandman, you know? AC/DC, Hell's Bells. Oh, fuck, we didn't even know about that. We only know Thunderstruck, you know? Stairway to Heaven, here's it backwards. We're like, holy fuck, you know? Let's grab our Van Zeppelin record. So everybody brought their CDs and tapes to smash, and we made a bong. Actually, we made our first bong that day. And so we went out behind the church and got high and started a band. So that was it. We started a band. And
well, that blew up in their face, didn't it?
Yeah. We started a metal band called Black Opal, and that was in the fall of '93. And we graduated from the 8th grade from junior high in '94. And they do a talent show every year in April. And we played at the talent show. So at the school we've been going to our whole lives. And we debuted there. It was my first live performance. We played one song. We played Anarchy in the UK, like the Megadeth version, you know? And at the school's called St. John's. So at the end of it, I said, St. John's will be destroyed, you know? Like the students loved it, you know? But I got like, you know, in trouble for that shit. So like we knew there was some rebellion to it, and we were happy with that. So I was playing heavy metal like that up through high school. And I started promoting concerts out of high school, a lot of bigger shows. I basically had a college fund that my grandparents had started for me at Home Savings Bank in 1981. They had put like a couple $1,000s into it. So when I was 18, by 99, it was like fucking thousands of dollars, you know? And there, it was like, back then, you know, interest rates, like they meant something, right? And I decided not to go to college, and I went to rock and roll college, and I heard that UFO was going to reunite with Pete Way and Michael Schenker. And so I bankrolled the West Coast tour like I was 17, and I was like, that's my favorite band. And I helped put on those shows, and they did a live record on the Covenant record that I was a part of up in Santa Cruz. And like to have my name on those credits at 17 years old, like I was like, this is great. I lost a bunch of money, but like it was my birth into rock and roll. And I started just meeting more people and doing way more concerts, King Diamond, Merciful Fate, Slayer. I was 17, you know, and at the time this stuff was dead. The new metal thing was big. If you played a guitar solo, you were dead, man. I did Motorhead and Dio once, and I got 500 people at the show, you know, and that was like my biggest success. But anyway, I got into that. The metal thing was getting just way too aggro for me. Like I remember I promoted Fear Factory once on their 3rd record, and I did like 1,000 people. And the week before I did Wasp with 50 people. And I was just like, man, like, I don't really like this shit, and I'm not in it for the money. So I kind of got out of metal because I didn't see where, you know, again, like it was before high-speed internet, you know, it was before I didn't know about any other subcultures that were coming up or anything. And I started playing in more punk rock bands, and I was touring a lot with other bands, and I was a guitar tech for Dick Dale for a long time. I did a lot of different shit. And then actually I started like a 50s rock band doing like doo-wop stuff, and then early rockabilly. And then like I had a full solo career as like a soul singer. And I was like this white James Brown of like Spain and Germany from like 2008 to like 2013. So I actually stopped. Night Demon was a band before I stopped doing that. But I'm trying to I'm talking a lot, but there's a lot here, and I'm trying to condense it. Because there's a lot more.
No worries.
That's good, man. We got time. We're happy to hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a pretty storied career and a lot of things that I don't think any of us were expecting.
No. Yeah. So basically,
the white James Brown. I mean, that's pretty awesome. I'm like imagining you in like this like white tux, like getting out of a hot tub and how, you know. I mean,
actually, there was a white tuxedo.
I
used to do 3 wardrobe changes per show. Yeah. So, but in 2011, I started Night Demon with 2 friends of mine that love the new wave of British heavy metal from Ventura, California, and we just didn't think anybody was going to give a fuck. So we just said, let's just do it for ourselves. We're not trying to play shows or be a real band or anything. So we had 4 rehearsals. Each rehearsal, we wrote a song. And on the 5th rehearsal, we recorded what's now known as the debut EP, the first 4 songs of the band. And we didn't do anything for about a year. But we had made like a couple CDRs and like gave them to some friends, and people kept spreading it around and basically saying like, hey, I think this is really good. But it was weird because it was people that didn't really listen to metal. It wasn't metalheads. They're kind of like, oh, this is heavy metal. And we're like, yeah, it's basically classic rock, you know, like, you know, so, oh, it's got some melody in it, but it's kind of heavy, you know, it's cool. So, we decided to pick it up a year later and just go out and play a gig. And then we said, well, let's just put this on a 7-inch. So we got a 7-inch pressed, and we made sure we did it all old school and had like offset printing, and it was all black and white. The recording was very vintage too. And we ended up sending it off to a couple people in Europe that I found on the internet. And like, we basically tried to fake people out and say, hey, it's a band from 1981, like that you never heard, called Night Demon. And like, I got some like coffee and like spilled it on the sleeve, you know, like, and
the old map making.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. The relicking, you know, as they call it in the guitar world. But there was a guy who ran a website, newwaveofbritishheavymetal.com. And we said, I just contacted him and sent, and I was going to send him a download of the EP. And I said, hey, there's a band from the early 80s from England called Night Demon, and you know, I think you should hear them. And he's like, oh yeah, no, I haven't heard them. They're not new wave British heavy metal. And I go, yeah, no, they are. And they made this EP, and you know, nobody's ever heard it. And he's all, bullshit, I know all bands. And I was like, no, I don't think you know this one. This is like really, really rare. And he's like, nah, bullshit. I know every fucking band from that. I know them all, like every band that never left the garage. And I go, yeah, I don't know, man. And he's like, well, just send it to me. So I sent it to him, and he hit me up immediately. He's like, what do you fucking know about this? You know? And I was like, all right, yeah, you're right. It's us, you know? I just wanted to see if I could get it by you. Will it pass the litmus test of, you know, a vintage band, you know, and recording? And he's like, yeah, you really fooled me. And he said, do you mind if I stream this on my website? And I said, yeah. So he did. And, you know, 10 years later, here we are. I mean, it kind of, I don't want to say it was overnight, but like, you know, it was weird. Like label offers came in the very next day, festival offers to go play in Europe and stuff. And I mean, you know, not for big money or anything. I mean, bedroom labels and, you know, whatever, but good festivals. And to me, it was like a really big deal, you know? So, you know, I was 30 years old at the time, and I had worked at a job that I hated for years, and touring for me became a vacation. And I was just severely depressed and almost suicidal at times, and just thought like, I'm stuck doing something I hate. I really want to just be who I am as a musician. And I just didn't have the confidence. I didn't feel I had any skills. You know, I didn't go to college. I spent all my money on bringing bands over from Europe and shit. And, you know, I just kind of like lost hope there for a bit. But when this happened, I said, okay, this is a sign from above. This is my shot. So when I was 30, all my friends in bands were quitting bands, and they were getting married and having kids. And it's weird because they weren't like, you could be married and have kids and still fucking rock, you know, but a lot of my friends just, they just didn't see it that way. And so I had to distance myself a bit and say to the guys in the band, like, look, we got something good going here. I'm willing to go all the way with it. Are you willing to do it too? And our guitar player was, our drummer wasn't. So that's fine. We got a new drummer and we quit our jobs and went on the road with no money and ended up at Vic's house. And our roadie had bed bugs and fucking got it all over Vic's place with this newborn kid there. And like, that was like that's the cleanest story we have. But no, it's like I said, there's so much shit, and I'm just trying to put it in. I'm trying to condense it as much as I can. That like, it's one of those things that, you know, you're just never too old to just change it all around. I had to get to the point where it's like, yeah, I'm going to be judged by my family and friends, possibly my significant other, all that stuff. You know, I might be, you know, we were homeless for 4 years in the last decade. We were fucking straight homeless. So our theory though was like, if we're always on the road, nobody will give us a job anyway.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of what we did. It was really hard at a lot of times, but it was worth the sacrifice, you know, to be where we're at now. So, you know, I just say for anybody out there that has a passion for something, like even as a side hustle, just do it. If you can work 8 hours a day for somebody, you can work 2 hours a day for yourself. You know, that shit adds up. Don't just save it for the weekend. Put the extra time in every night. Just do it. Just do a little bit of it, you know, and you know, like you just become the person that you want to, that you really, not that you want to be, the person that you know who you really are. You know, we're all somebody inside. We all know who that person is. It's the other people around us. And sometimes it's the people closest to you that it's not that they don't care about you. It's just, they're not doing that. And so they're not, inadvertently, they might not be as supportive. They're not trying to hold you back. It's just a natural reaction. It's part of human nature. And you got to block that noise out and just know eventually you get there. You know?
You're just
so
allowing yourself to be yourself. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
How did this pan into the management company? Because you just recently started that, what, in the past decade at least? I can't pinpoint.
Yeah.
So how did that kind of, coming from Night Demon, how did that kind of open up the opportunities for you to start managing bands? And can you discuss some of your clients?
Yeah, so that was a really slow build. I never wanted to be a band manager. Like, I just was never interested. It's, you know, it's hard enough to wrangle your own guys in a band. Yeah, right. You know, I mean, it's, you know, that's one of the great things about being in a 3-piece band. It's a lot easier. It's then even adding 4 guys. It's tough because you can always have a 2-on-2 battle. In a 3-piece, so there's always a clear winner. You know, so but so we were on tour and we were in Salt Lake City and we were playing with the band called Visigoth, and we have been friends with these guys for a while, and it was like probably our 3rd time there. I think it was like 2015, and they were about to make all these decisions. Like they were going to sign with this booking agent in LA, and they were going to sign this other record deal. And they were going to go to Europe with some other promoter. And me personally, at that point, I had known each of these people that they were going to work with. And they were literally like the worst people in the business. Like like the biggest con artists. And here are these guys in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is basically an island with no water around it, you know? You know, how are they supposed to know, you know? Right. But here are people giving them some opportunities. So I just said, look, let me manage your band. Let's just see how it goes. I want to manage your band. And I will if you want those things, let me at least try and get you somebody better in all of those areas, you know? And they were like, they thought about it. And then they asked somebody I knew, who we mutually knew. And that person told me later that he told them that if Jarvis says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. And I thought, okay, cool. So that it all started from there. And then the next thing was reuniting Cirith Ungol. A couple of years later, they basically said, you have to be our manager. And I said, okay. And obviously nobody was going to do a better job than me. I spent a decade trying to reunite them. We were already close friends, you know? And then from there, I think the word just kind of got out, you know, and I started putting on festivals, and then other bands would start approaching me and kind of looking for things. And I've always been a guy that, you know, before Night Demon, I used to charge bands to consult, and it was pretty good. It was a good supplemental income, and I really worked with a lot of bands. But I mean, I've been in the music industry pretty much my whole life. But what I noticed is I felt really bad because I would take bands' money, but they would never ever do what I said. Like, not to the they would do about 60%, but it would, when it came to things like, dude, your band name sucks, I'm sorry. Oh, but like my girlfriend created it. Like, I know, but listen. Yeah, no, but it's like, look, like, this is what the people that you want to work with are telling me. You know what I'm saying? Or like, I know that you're like, you just got to rethink some things. And so I always felt bad taking money from bands. I mean, our time is worth money. I'll say that, all of us, you know. That's a common thing in music, that, especially in the underground scene, that everybody will always make you feel bad for getting paid for your time and hard work.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's fucking insane. You know, anytime I talk about making money with the bands, I always feel a little like, you know, this guy's got his greedy hands in heavy metal. It's not about that. Well, yeah, I know, but it's like, come on, you know, like, I can't do the heavy metal if I can't eat, right? So, anyway, where was I with that? Yeah, so I started managing bands. Bands started coming to me, and it was, you know, what I did is, and I still do it to this day, when a band comes to me with advice or for advice, I'll always give it to them for free. I'll always reply to them. A band the other day asked me to manage them, and I was just like, yeah, no, I really don't have any more time. I don't. But I said, hey, maybe this guy can. Or like, you know, a lot of things I ask bands is like, what do you really want? What are you trying to do? You know, and most bands will say like, well, we want to be on tour. It's like, yeah, that doesn't answer anything for me. Like, when do you when do you want to tour? How many days of the year? Where do you want to go? How much money do you expect to make? Who do you want to play for? Like, give me the whole, let's get specific about things. Once you do that, it's so easy to make things happen. You know, it really is. But just the whole thing, like, we need a manager, so we don't have to do any more heavy lifting because we're not getting anywhere doing it. That's kind of the attitude, you know?
Right.
So, you know, for me, I feel like less is more. You know, I was approached to manage a really, really big band last year, and I knew that if I did that, I'd pretty much have to quit everything else. And like, I'm just not interested in that. The bands that I represent are Visigoth, Cirith Ungol, Night Demon, Satan, Midnight. And, you know, I mean, like, they're just important to me. We're all friends. And like, I think these bands have a good place in history. We're all in the same genre, but kind of all in different, we're all different from each other, and everything just works well. And it's like, I don't need any more, but I'm here to help anybody who needs that guidance. You know, it's like, I would love, like, I think that, you know, especially with the internet, that there's so many conflicting things that they say information is free, but it's only free for the narrative that you want to hear, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, how many times have you gone on the internet and looked for an answer and found the wrong answer and go, let me find the right one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, yeah, you know, so yeah, I if I could take it all back, I don't know if I'd be a manager again, to be honest.
Fair enough.
You know, I like playing, I like creating. Management is a very creative thing, but I do also feel a sense of responsibility. There's these guys, the guys in these bands really need me. They really do. And like, I fill in a space where I'm needed, and that's cool. You know,
right.
I see a lot of managers, they really just try and rack up clients and commission things, you know, but I think the best person of any job is somebody who does the job, right? So there's, you know, most most managers are not in bands, or they haven't even been in bands. They have a vast knowledge of the business, and they have a lot of relationships, but they haven't gotten in the van to do it. They haven't written a song. So, it's like, it's if you're the manager of McDonald's, you better know how to fry some fucking fries,
Right.
So, yeah.
Nice. Well, from early on, you were meeting a whole tons of all these bands, ones that I'm sure you admired who were musical heroes of yours. Can you tell some of those stories of like a few people you've met specifically when you were young, who you were fans of, and how that meeting was like for you as a fan?
Yeah, totally. The first, besides the Van Halen guys, which are like, in the family that I mean, now you think about it, it's like, fuck, like if I could meet one band, it would be them, especially in the 80s. Right. So I didn't think about it then like that, but Rob Halford was the first rock star I met when I was 16. I ended up getting backstage passes to his first solo show at the Roxy. And it's because I won tickets on the radio and they didn't have my tickets. So the door guy gave me a backstage pass. I just walked up there, and he was really nice, But in my career, when, like I said, when I was 17, I started promoting big shows. That was tough, man. Like there was a thing, like I remember I brought Slayer to California, and Tom Araya came in the day before the show. He was sick, and I was also sick. I had a cold. So like I borrowed my mom's minivan, and we went to the doctor together, and like we both got checked up, and then we got some pills, and I remember the doctor told him like to not smoke weed anymore because he said his throat was scratchy. He's like, I'm not going to do that. And then we went to Rite Aid to fill his prescription, and then we had to wait in the car for that. And we were listening to some music, and then we went to In-N-Out and just ate burgers in my car. And like, it's just when you're young, it's like, what the fuck? This is just, it's crazy, right?
Right.
But there's plenty of other rock star stories where, they say don't meet your heroes. Like, man, I've been extremely disappointed especially when I was younger, but I was doing business with these bands, I mean, I think I remember when the Cult reunited, I was part of a big block of shows, and I loved the band, and they were like, who's this 17-year-old kid, And I'm just like, well, I'm the guy paying you fucking $30,000 a night, like,
right.
Like the things are going well, but a lot of the crews and the management and agencies and production of bands like that had a hard time taking you seriously, especially when you're hiring riggers for safety, and you got fly points and PA and lighting and semi trucks, but I was on top of it. I knew what was going on. It was just, when you're young, there's just a barrier to entry sometimes, you just want to get older, and then you get old and you're like, fuck,
right.
You're like, God, like, fuck, I should have fucking appreciated that more. But when I started, when Night Demon started going, that's when I mean, shit, you play one festival and you're like, there's that guy, there's that guy, there's that guy, there's that guy, it's like, did you see me on stage? Like, did they see me play? Did they care? Like you're in the catering tent and you're like sandwiched between, like fucking, Udo Dirk Schneider and like fucking, Sebastian Bach or something. And you're just like, and they're arguing or something. And you're like, like you're just eating steak. So that shit's cool. But really, when you start playing with bands, like our first tour was with Raven, and we had played some regional shows with them, and then we did a festival in Europe with them, and somehow we just like became friends, and we decided, hey, let's book a US tour. So we went on a tour of 50 shows in the US. It was our first tour, and they didn't have a booking agent at the time. Neither did we, and we kind of put it together ourselves, but with how Night Demon was coming up, and with Raven's legacy, we were able to kind of sandwich things together. And, one night we'd be playing at the Whiskey A Go-Go for a few $1,000s, and the next night we'd be in Boise, Idaho for like $300, like, right. It's like, but it was great. Everybody was down for the cause, and it was a real thing. But so I remember the first time it happened when we were at rehearsal, and my phone rings, and I was like, oh my God, guys, it's John Gallagher from Raven. Why is he calling me? All this, and like, we made it. And then halfway through the tour, we're driving, you know, and it's like, it's John. Should I answer it? yeah, you know, like, so I think everything becomes a reality at some point in your life, you know? I mean, it's everything just gets leveled out, and then you walk more and more, and you forget kind of where you are. That's why you always have to, I can't remember what movie it was. Maybe it's an Adam Sandler movie or one of those dumb joke bald 90s jock movies, but like that I love, but like something like, you know, your 12-year-old self would kick your own ass right now if you heard what you were saying, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes we have to live in that childlike wonder, you know, like we have to just go, hey, wait a minute, you know, World War III's happening, there's a pandemic, life ain't so fucking bad. It really, you know, I mean, we're able to sit here and communicate like this and talk about metal and stuff, you know, so yeah, so I think you know, but there's that, like I said, the list goes on and on. There's plenty of people, and now I don't really look up to so many people anymore that were my heroes or celebrities or famous musicians. I look up to a lot of like smart business people and people that have like ethical business practices. I really look up to those people now, being an independent businessman and going, that guy's doing it right. That guy's over delivering to his customers. He's treating his clients right. And he could go to sleep at night. He's good to his family, you know, like that. Those are the people I admire. But I'll tell you something, when James Hetfield walks into a room, like you could say whatever you want about that guy, dude, you know, about him wearing flip-flops and shopping at fucking department stores. When that guy walks into a room, you're like, holy fuck. You know what I'm saying? When Ozzy walks into a room and you're there, it just, these people are just, they're real forces in nature, man. And and you get back, you're 11 years old again, and you're just like, oh fuck, man, you know, fuck, you know, he looked at me, you know? Really.
No, that's awesome. That's fantastic. You got to tell us, man. Tell us like the craziest road story that you can remember. I mean, you've spent so much time on the road. We love hearing those things, man. Bring it.
All right. One time, this is fuck, should I say it?
Of course.
Yes,
you should, Jarvis.
Yeah.
I won't say the band because, and man, it's clickbait culture, I swear. I mean, it'd probably be great for your podcast if it ends up on Blabbermouth, but like,
if you want to keep names out of it, that's okay. You can just say a certain band. That's totally cool with us.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not trying to get anyone thrown on the bus. We just like to hear good stories.
I had done a show with a popular 80s crossover band that did one album in the 80s that was somewhat of a super group. Okay, I'm dropping hints here.
Okay.
And they did an album. They did a second album in the, I want to say, in the year 2000, 2001.
Yep. Yes, they did.
And
Vic's got it.
And the agent was a guy who I had known who was selling me my first shows. And I used to do shows at like this laser tag place, and he would sell me a bunch of punk shows, but I get the metal shows for this bigger place. And I did this show. To me, it was kind of a big deal. It was kind of a reunion of this band. And the singer went on to sing in another kind of band that has almost the same moniker, but I walked him into the venue. I walked him into the venue, and I put him in this theater that was like 1,250 seat theater, and the guy's like, holy fuck, you could fit fucking 10,000 people in here. This show's gonna fucking suck, you know? And I was like, nah, dude, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. Anyway, I had a bunch of local openers on the show, and one of the bands was a band called Out of Hand. They were from like the Central California coast. They were always a great band because, you know, back in the day, you'd have to do the pay to play thing a lot where bands would sell tickets, you know, but you give them cheaper tickets and they get people to come. It's kind of a guarantee it helps you be able to bring in national acts to a secondary market, you know, where you can afford it, right? So they brought this girl with them. I just went, they were friends of mine. I went to say hi. Kind of, the backstage of this venue had 2 levels. So I put them in like one of the rooms in the middle level. So I go back there and they're like, "What's up? Have a beer." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." And there was this girl in there, and she was on her knees, like with her hand in her jeans, and like she was sucking this guy off and like was playing with herself. And these guys were like just, "Oh, what's been going on?" And I was like, the room, it was like a fucking 10 by 8 room. And I was all, "What the fuck is going on with you guys?" You know? And they're like, "Oh, that's so-and-so. She's just like total nymphomaniac. And that's our new drummer." Like, "Who?" "The guy getting his dick sucked." I go, "Okay." So, and she's just like making all these noises, and then she starts going to sounds. She starts going to, then she goes to this, she's still on her knees and stops and goes to the bass player, pulls his pants down. He's like, "Oh, fuck, okay." And I was just like, "All right," you know? So anyway, this happens. I'll go, "All right, cool. Just kind of like, you know, keep things under control here. You know, don't bring that on the stage, whatever, you know?" And then they play their set. Everything's fine. There was another band on tour with this so-called headliner that I'm talking about. And everything went good. The show went great. The agent who sold me the show is the guy from New York. He's recently been, I guess, canceled for sexist, misogynist claims of, you know, grooming young women and stuff like this. And he now lives in Thailand. I'm dropping as many hints here as I can. Okay?
Yeah, yep. I know that guy too.
and he's you know, he's a legend in his own right. I mean, he's booked some of the best metal and punk bands through history, and really in the lean years too. I mean, he was great at his job. I butted heads with him a lot, especially when I was younger, but we always did business together, you know? And, but he was always kind of a horn dog guy, you know? And so we went after the show and had a drink, and I actually paid him the money for the show. And then we went to the backstage after the show where this headlining band was up in their dressing room. Okay. And sure enough, who do I see up there? The fucking nymphomaniac chick, right? And the band, Out of Hand, they're called Out of Hand. Funny enough, they're called Out of Hand, the opening band that brought this girl. They're like nowhere to be found. They live like 3 hours away. I actually think that they split. They left. They like left her there. But so the scene that I walk into is not her sucking some guys off that are in this heavy metal hardcore crossover super group with 3 initials. What I see is she is full on butt naked against the wall, like she's going to be frisked. But the band, now the upstairs dressing room's a lot larger, okay? But the band is on the other side of the room throwing fucking deli meat on her ass, like trying to get it to stick to her ass. And like, it is incredible. Like, you know, wow. So, and then the agent joined in, and I believe he had a video camera. This is before like the cell phone camera thing. So that's a story that I could tell kind of like on air. You know, there's been some gnarlier shit, but like I'm not really proud of that stuff. You know, that's just one that comes to mind. But you know,
pin the baloney on the nympho.
So, all right, yeah. So.
You win. That's a winner.
The band's caught out of hand, but yet she had everybody in her hands.
Yeah. My baloney has a first name.
Yeah. The funny thing is, a member of this band actually had mentioned before about another very, very famous band eating bologna on hand when they first started when they did a cross-country trip from either the East Coast or the West Coast. I'm not quite sure.
You guys have picked this up, right? You guys know who he's talking about, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's killing me if you don't.
There you go. Thanks.
Well, that's good. And now I'm thinking like Dreadbull and I should have gotten him into a band back then, so playing all that D&D.
Yeah, I mean, I love baloney.
Yeah, exactly.
We appreciate the deli wench.
The deli wench.
The deli wench. That's a good name for a band. I think we should start that now.
I would never buy bologna for bands, though. It would always be like, it would always be fresh deli meat cut, sliced. You know, no processed bullshit. You know,
sticks to the skin better.
We were a
it rubs the bologna on his skin.
Oh,
that's great.
Or it gets the cold cuts again. That's fantastic. Jarvis, what's the thing that you love most about being in a famous band?
I'm not in a famous band. I'm in a respected
emerging, respected, successful.
Yeah,
band.
I'm in a respected band, and that's good enough for me. The best thing about it, the most gratifying thing about it is the fact that we've been able to kick some doors open for other bands, you know? And like Vic is one of the first guys that ever did anything for us. We could come to Cleveland and we had a show in Akron and we knew nobody. We were sleeping in a Walmart parking lot and it was like, it was fucking, October or November. Yeah. And the lake effect comes in, right? So it starts to snow and it's just like, I didn't even know, like our feet are going to fall off, you know? And we ended up hooking up with Vic and his other buddies, Marshall and Alyssa, great couple, Marshall and Alyssa Law. And, like they opened their doors to us and, who knew we would go on to record a triple live album in Cleveland and have this great fan base there. We didn't know that, but what I'm saying is, it was moments like that. I mean, there's so many people like this that have helped us along the way. But the best thing about being in a band like this is like we sacrificed everything. We never gave it up. And we showed a lot of bands on our level or that were on no level that they could do it. And they've done it. There's been so many that have come after us. So our thing was, we always said, we're not here to compete. We're here to inspire. And that's the best legacy we could ever have. Because like our fans love our music. It's not about, we need the most fans. The bands that have the most fans suck. Like the people have bad taste in this world. Like I'm not, right. I don't need it's just a fact. I want people that love what we do. If they're there, that's fine. They're the most important people. But I want other people that aspire to do this to be able to use what we do as a blueprint and know that they can. And that's it.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, there's music has, the way music has been produced now and released, there's a complete disruption of that supply chain. You don't need necessarily to be on a label. You got Bandcamp, you got people, things like that where, it's just like the publishing world. KDP has disrupted traditional publishing. And so it is wide open for people who have some talent and can put themselves out there. The opportunities are there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the people that want to commit to their passions in life, there's nothing that can get in their way. It's just, it's a numbers game and it's a longevity game. You just got to stick around long enough. You just got to keep going. Yep. You never know when that tipping point's going to happen. And it's usually not, we're in this culture where everybody is taught that they should be famous. You have to be an influencer. You have to have more likes. You have to have 1 million followers. You go on a singing competition and you're famous. And if you don't make it, you're nobody. It's just not true. It's not true. You can be somebody. I mean, come on, there's so many subcultures of popular music that we don't probably even know about. That's way more popular than anything we know, and like, we don't have to know about it. Like it's fine. Everybody can like what they like now without the mainstream totally like making them feel dumb, Right. So, yeah. So that's kind of the way I see it. You're no longer, there's a shorter barrier to entry now. You're no longer, your exposure is no longer dictated to your geographics. if that makes sense. You're right. We're all connected, you know.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So
it does.
yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I try not to sound like a complainer or anything. You know, I try to be positive through the whole thing. But
no, you are. You're coming off as saying, look, anyone can do it, and you're trying to be that role model and saying, look, you know, you're willing to put the work in. You have the opportunity. It's, you know, luck and determination meet opportunity, and that's really what you're saying.
John Wooden. There we go.
That's a good message. So
that's
I want to switch.
Quote.
There we go. I want to switch gears a little bit, and then, you know, you're a horror fan, so
let's go.
Yeah, let's hear some about, you know, your.
I mean, he wore an HP Lovecraft shirt for this gig.
That's funny.
That's right.
I didn't realize.
What's your favorite Lovecraft story?
Ooh, you know what's funny is, like, so I got into Lovecraft through like Metallica and Iron Maiden. Right. And then I started, you know, renting VHS stuff at the video store, anything that said Lovecraft, and thought like, oh, he's a director, you know, like, and then, you know, it's like, my English teacher's like, oh yeah, he's an author, you know, read a book. And then I picked up a book and I picked up a Lovecraft book, like of short stories, like a, you know, and I was like, I need like a dictionary for, I don't understand a word. Like, it was just hard for me to follow my street lingo, you know? But I started getting more into it, like later in life. Actually, what's funny is, like, when I was a kid, I would read the books that the movies were based on, like From Beyond, or like The Unnameable 1 and 2 were some of my favorite movies. And there was the story of Randolph Carter, you know, I think that that's what The Unnameable was based upon. Dagon, stuff like that. And like, there was all these spin-offs, all the Stuart Gordon films, you know, even like Castle Freak and stuff like this. And, you know, I was reading Dunwich Horror, but what really got me into it, there was another author, Clark Ashton Smith. And he was also from, you know, kind of around that era. And I started reading his stuff and I really connected with it. And I was like, man, I think I'm going to give the Lovecraft stuff another shot, you know? And then I really started getting into it. And I was just like, holy fuck, man, some of this stuff, like The Tomb, I'm just like, I wish I could write a story like that. Like, this just so, I spend more time, I'm actually a screenwriter more than I do music. It's kind of funny. It's a real big passion of mine. And, but I always think like, man, I wish I could write, all these people are doing short films now, you know? And like, I wish I could write a short story like Lovecraft. You think it's easier to write short, but it's not, man. It's not like it's tough. So
he had chops from early on. I got his anthology. I actually taught Lovecraft in a couple of my English classes.
No shit.
Yeah, my students had never read Lovecraft, had never experienced Lovecraft. And so here's the cool paper I did. We read some stories about Lovecraft stories, Rats in the Walls, Call of Cthulhu, Shadow over Innsmouth, you know, Color Out of Space. And then we analyzed those themes, and then we applied them to King Diamond albums and say which of Lovecraft's themes are in which of, you know, 3 King Diamond albums. Yeah. That's the kind of shit I'd have my students do, you know. So one of my students,
all the King Diamond albums are like concept records, right? All except for 1 or 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we did Abigail 2, we did them, and we did Puppet Masters.
Okay.
And so one of my students was a rabid Twilight fan, and she came up to me after class one time and she said, Professor Justice, I you know, after reading this Lovecraft, she said, I'm never going to be able to read Twilight again. And I said, you're welcome. You know,
Right.
You know, yeah. Yeah,
That's
Lovecraft's
great.
awesome. Lovecraft's great.
Yeah, I took a tour of New England, Providence. You know, I went on a Lovecraft walking tour, which is insane because they take you to all the spots he used to hang out, man, and where he lived and where he wrote certain stories. And you know, like people are like, hello, like coming out of their house, you know, and it's just like, or like Brown Universities, like Miskatonic University. It's all, so Night Demon has much of the same themes in our songs and our music. Our mascots have a backstory, our album covers, they're all based on actual physical locations that we've given our own kind of story and lore to and names. And it's because of Lovecraft. So,
Nice.
Oh yeah, Montag. I never told you this, but the original Rocky mask. Do you know who made that? So their mascot's name's Rocky.
Okay.
Jarvis, tell him who made you the first one. Do you remember his name?
I believe his name was Chris.
Chris Sure.
Really?
Oh, no
Yep.
kidding.
Nice.
Yeah,
So-
he made the first Rocky mask, V1.
Awesome.
Oh,
That is so
yeah.
cool.
That was creepy, man. We pulled up in the dead of winter to this place in the middle of the fucking woods, man. And this guy comes out in a fucking cape, and
Chris.
That sounds like
Yeah,
it.
that's Chris. That's Chris.
and he had it on a fucking like this styrofoam head that had spray paint over, and he's just presenting it, and we're just like, is this the guy? But he's just like, he didn't say anything, and he just kept walking up, and it was just like, it was right in front of my face, and I was like, it was a little like Texas Chainsaw,
Yep.
you know. But we ended up,
Yep.
you know,
That's
we talked about it over a little grass, and it was
Nice.
good, you know. So, yeah.
That's good. Oh, that's
Chris,
up.
Chris
That's
is a different kind of cat right there.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. What was the scariest movies you remember as a kid? Like the ones that you watched that would just terrify the shit out of you?
Well, see, I was having this conversation with my girlfriend recently because she is, you know, a paranormal, you know, ghost hunter, and she's a big horror fan, and she helps me a lot with the screenwriting, and we co-write a lot of horror stuff together. But I tell her about certain things. We have like a 4-year age difference, and certain things, I guess, when you see them at certain times in your life, scare you more. I guess, but the Salem's Lot was one of them. I thought that, you know, I saw it when I was young, and I thought the same thing when I saw The Exorcist, kind of like, this is fucking slow. Like, you know, like this is, you know, because my first things were like Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that. So I'm like, fuck, dude, this is fucking like, there's action, it's fucking awesome, and there's stalking, and like, let's go, you know.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
But like, you know, but like I watched Pet Cemetery, and then after that, it's like, okay, that the scene with the sister scared me the most in that movie.
Yeah.
The sister throwing up in her fucking, you know, like her decrepit body, that scared the fuck out of me. And so after that, I said, I got to see everything Stephen King. And again, like the Lovecraft thing, thinking, oh, he's the best director, he's the best filmmaker, you know, like not, you know, didn't know he was writing books, and everybody's butchering his books, you know? So I watched Salem's Lot, that miniseries, and like, you know, it wasn't most people get scared about the kid floating outside the window. Mine was when you know, you wait fucking 80 minutes to see the vampire, and when you see him in that kitchen, holy fuck, when he's holding that kid, and it's all fucking fangy bucktooth motherfucker, like holy, I was fucking like, I chills literally, just I can feel the hair follicles in my fucking head right now. But that freaked me out. My Fright Night is my second favorite movie of all time, and it's got a lot of tropes in there. You could a lot of things were taken. You could see the influence of Salem's Lot and stuff like this in that movie, but it's just, to me, it's a near perfect film, and it has a very special place in my heart, you know, and it hits all the right buttons for me. So I'm really into that. I'm really into the 80s stuff, not necessarily campy. Like, see, in the 80s, with 35 millimeter film, you can have camp that can have a serious tone. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's still the visual. It's because you're watching something. It still has that dream effect, you know? So like Night of the Creeps, Monster Squad, you know, things like that. Like, I just like, those are the ones. They have the little one-liners. They've got they got cool music. They got some jokiness. They've got some happiness. They've got
Return of the Living Dead.
Oh my.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, and people look at Return of the Living Dead now, it's like comical. Like, let me tell you, I saw that movie when I was like 6 or 7 years old. It was on TV, and I'll never forget the scene of the naked woman dancing on the car, and the acid rain starts to come down. I was just like, it scared the fuck? At first I was like, oh my God, tits. And then I was like, holy shit, that's scary. And like, come on. The zombies run so fast in that movie. And it ends on such a somber note. They nuke the fucking town. It's like,
and it spreads, right? You're just like, fuck, it's getting bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
It was, the sequels can go fuck themselves, but but that incredible film.
Yeah, the effects are great, really gory,
incredible. But like,
and
how like
sharp, funny.
Yeah, how like when Bert and what's his face, the main character guy or the younger guy, they get sick, right? They get infected, and when they start getting sick, when they're in the crematorium, and they're like doing the, and it's like that's so cheesy, but when you're watching it on 35 millimeter film with real sound and the vibe around it, and the set decoration was fantastic on that movie. It's not like if you watch that in 4K today and somebody's doing that, you'd be like, this is junk. I think
right.
So I think great art will always take the maximum effort. Okay. So in any technology you live in, back then it took a lot of money. It took a lot of time, cutting tape, splicing, editing. It was harder, but you got that result. Right now it's so easy, but you better fucking act better. You better do something different with, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's my thing. There's no shortcuts. Okay. It just doesn't fucking work, and all this music, even now that's cut and copied and pasted and triggered, and it's not going to stand up. It's not going to hold the test of time. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I remember a story I was watching Return of the Living Dead in my apartment years ago, and my son was 2 years old, and I thought he was out sleeping. He was already asleep, or when that tar zombie scene comes up. Well, he happened to be awake. Yeah, he happened to see that, and I'm sitting on a chair, and he just backs up real slowly to Dad. His heart is just going like that. Oh yeah, that didn't go over too well with the mother. So.
No! Where he takes a chunk out of the dude's brain. Yeah, out of a skull. God, what a great movie, man! What a great movie.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember your favorite Halloween costume as a kid?
Yeah, it was Pee Wee Herman, actually. And it was right after he got caught jerking off.
Yeah. Is that part of the costume?
Nice. Yeah.
No. See, I always wanted to be
Trench
Freddy
coat.
Krueger. I always wanted to be Freddy Krueger. And my parents, it was at that point where, they just weren't letting me watch horror films. I had to basically be sleeping over at a friend's house, and their parents went to bed, and then you go hit the Cinemax, and, you could look for a horror movie, and then, Emmanuel comes on, or Shannon Tweed, and you're like, okay, I got a boner. I wanted to get there, but I always want to be Freddy Krueger. And then my mom's all, no, I'll let you be the Pee-wee's Playhouse guy. I'll go, fine. Then he got caught jerking off, and I'm like, what now? Fuck. So
make a honey ho.
Yeah. But I remember I used to go to the baseball card shop, right? And my parents used to drop me off there. Here's a few bucks, buy some baseball cards. And this horror series, Fright Flicks, came out, and it was like this horror cards, and they had stickers, and I would collect those and I wouldn't show them. I'd just hide them under my bed, and it was great. They would have these facts on the back of these fake, little horror tales, and that's kind of what got me into writing that. And the Twilight Zone, it's they let me watch that, and that was that's probably my favorite show of all time. Just the great writing, great short stories, Richard Matheson, Ray Bradbury stuff, Charles Beaumont. There's so many great. I just recommend anybody who's into horror or science fiction literature and doesn't have a lot of time and wants to read some great short stories, go back to the guys who were writing in the 50s and 60s. You're going to find stuff that's almost Orwellian. And you're going to be like, holy fuck, man, these guys knew what the fuck time it was. Right. I say the same about music. Listen to stuff from the 60s and 70s and shit like that, and get a good education of people that really honed their craft around that time and didn't have to rely on digital cheating. It just wasn't available then.
Were you Jarvis? Were you a Night Gallery and a Kolchak the Night Stalker fan too? I'm a Night Gallery fan as much as I'm a Hitchcock Presents fan. I think they're always,
they're all worth a watch, and there's some good adaptations there, but nothing beats the original Twilight Zone. Nothing beats the original Outer Limits. Nothing beats the Hitchcock era, like 60 to 64 films. You know, nothing. It's just like just the things he was able to do, telling a story with a camera, and just like here's a guy who looks out his window and thinks somebody's killing somebody, and we're going to talk about it for 90 minutes, and you're going to fucking pay attention, and you do. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's insane, you know. But yeah, I like, you know, I'll give anything a chance. I watched the new Twilight Zone. I watched the new Creep Show series. I mean, it's cool. It's cool, you know, but you got to understand the budgets behind the stuff. And I think everything today is just, even with bands, I mean, there's bands with no original members touring and doing stadiums. Like, everything now is a franchise. Everything is a reboot. It's all about IP now and about a name. And, you know, we all love that stuff because we're nostalgic for it. And we've burnt ourselves out on the originals because we've just loved it and watched it so much that we want the story to continue. But why? I mean, not everything has been done. It hasn't, you know. And I made the mistake. Excuse me. I made the mistake of watching the new Texas Chainsaw reboot. Oh God. Oh my God, was that horrendous? Oh. And again, like, just call it. Why do they have to call it? Now this is what I don't get. Movie franchises using the same name again. It's like, there's 3 Halloweens now. They're called Halloween. Like, you gotta be able, so you just differentiate it by year. You have to look that up. Like, at least give it a new fucking title, you know? Like, you know, it's fucking crazy. So everything is about that franchising and that name and that IP. Yeah, you know, everything's about IP, and it's just the world we're living in. You know, if you have a name, it's brand recognition is pretty much what it is. And I get why, but man, there's something to be said about like bands that stop at the right time and movie franchises that stop at the right time. I mean, like, So I told you my second favorite movie was Fright Night. My first favorite movie is Back to the Future, you know? And it's an incredible film. The trilogy is great, and I'm glad that they haven't fucked with it, you know? It's like they don't need to. There's talks
about remaking it. I'm like, no, don't fucking touch it. Just like Jaws, man. I mean, Jaws was leave Jaws. You don't need to remake it, man.
I mean, I'd leave Jaws at one movie.
Jaws.
At least, I mean, at least I could say with the Back to the Future trilogy, it's a solid fucking trilogy. It's like, it stands up to fucking Star Wars and shit like that, you know?
Oh, it's great fun. Yeah. Well, in that kind of same vein, who's your favorite cartoon character?
You know, I was into Mighty Mouse when I was younger. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not really a cartoon guy, to be honest. If I had to think, I like that Gargoyles cartoon, but that kind of came out when I was a little too old, you know? So
that was good. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, it was pretty cool, you know. That's just a group of gargoyles, like fucking, yeah, we're here to look after shit, you know, but we're kind of scary looking, you know. But yeah, I hate to say, I really can't really weigh in on the cartoon thing. I'm just like, it's just yeah, no, it's
cool.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I'm a man.
Well, what one song do you wish you had written and recorded instead of the group or band who did?
Probably Bohemian Rhapsody. Just because if I wrote that song, I would have enough money to not have to do anything and write any songs. Yeah. No, but yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I think like there's a lot of songs that Night Demon has covered and actually recorded. And like, I think anybody in the band can relate to this. It's basically like when you cover a band song, it's not because you can't write your own song. It's because when you hear that song, you feel like you want to play it and you feel like you wish you'd written it. So that's why it's like hard for bands a lot to kind of do their own spin on a cover, especially in hard rock or metal, you know, because you're just like, that's what inspires you to play it the way that they fucking do it, you know? So, but okay, if I had to pick one, Okay, I would say the Joan Baez song that Judas Priest covered, Diamonds and Rust. I think that is one of the greatest songs. And I would have changed some of the lyrics though, but I wish I would have written that song. It's a great fucking song. Great pop song turned into a metal song. Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of covers, Jarvis, I really enjoy your guys' Night Demons cover of the Thin Lizzy song, Sun Goes Down. That was really well done.
Thank you. That's okay. So that is an example of making something our own, like that song's a pretty mellow song. We kind of did that in the first half and then ramped it up. Yeah. And I thought that their version it goes on forever and it kind of doesn't go anywhere. They're one of my favorite bands. They're my top favorite bands of all time. But I was proud that we could do something with that, and a lot of people have given us a lot of good feedback that song had really touched them in some deep way, even though we didn't write it. And then there's a lot of hardcore Thin Lizzy fans that are like, dude, you totally ruined this fucking song for me, So, but you got to take the good. You got to take the good with the bad. And now everybody's got a fucking opinion, and they're able to type it out on the screen, and they never say it to your face. So,
well, I don't care what other people thought. I thought it was excellent. So well done.
Thank you so much.
What one creative endeavor are you most proud of?
It's tough. I'd say it's the Night Demon thing. I think that's what I'll be remembered for. But business endeavor, or I would say reuniting Cirith Ungol. It was a thing that people had tried for decades, and many people had told me that I would never be able to do it. And people that had offered tens of thousands of dollars for a single performance of this band. And I really just took that as motivation, and what's happened with that band is they reunited and have played now 30 shows over the world in the last 5 or 6 years since it's been now. And they've made a new record for the first time in 30 years that was a top 10 charting record, and not just the metal charts, the charts, and I'm really proud of that stuff, and there were some fucking Korn riffs on that I was like, get that shit out of here, so
fucking Korn.
Yeah.
Picked the corn out of there.
Yeah.
Got to get the scatting in a Cirith Ungol.
The angry sounds.
Corn belongs in your shit, not in coming out of your speakers. Yeah, comes out of your ass, not your speakers.
Yeah.
That's good.
No bagpipes on this one.
I hate to talk shit about bands. They're such an easy target. They're
Chop Top and I saw Ozzy, and it was Korn. It was what Deftones and Korn opened.
I saw that tour. That was the Osmosis tour.
No, this was the No Retirement Sucks tour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, way back, because the third song ends, and he's like, "We're gonna slow things down now." I'm like, "Oh fuck, it is." Right, you are really needing some help.
Goodbye to you.
Yeah. Oh man.
We pick on Limp Bizkit a lot too, so
yeah. Oh,
they're easy target.
Yeah, just really
hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Korn discovered that band. I mean, in my mind, it was Korn that started that whole fucking thing. I mean, they came out, and then Sepultura heard that Korn record and were like, "Oh yeah, we need to go with Ross Robinson and make a record like that." And then they made Roots, which it's a lot of people now, a lot of purists give Chaos AD a hard time. I think that's a great album.
It's a great album.
Yeah. But now you know how it is. It's like no. Arise, and now people are like, no, nothing past Beneath the Remains. It's I'm like, dude, what the fuck? What are you talking about? But the Roots thing, those bands never recovered from that. That band never recovered, and all the Soulfly records, it was that whole thing, man. It just started to be just tune the guitars down to where there's no tonality, and just slow things down, groove it out. And fucking, do a little bit of rapping and, bring some fucking, break off that tree branch. It's an instrument now,
Yeah, I like the Derek Green era though. I think the last 3 albums, Sepultura albums, are really strong with Derek Green.
Well, they're getting, but they're
getting back.
But yeah. No, I agree. But again, it's like bands that create their sound will be remembered. Bands that follow trends, like, hey, yeah, maybe it's not cool to sound like Korn anymore. Bands are getting more technical, right? Guitar solos are coming back. So Acceptor is like, yeah, well, let's do that too then. You know, it's like they could have been doing it the whole time, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
So,
Roots again, is not my favorite.
Not my place. Not my place. Look, it's like, God, sometimes I get like this, right? Where I feel like, you know, we're having a private conversation. I don't realize that like this is forever in the public. Like,
you know, Jarvis, seriously, if there's anything, no, seriously, if there's anything you want me to cut all that shit out about Korn, I'll take it out.
Well,
here's
no, you can say what you want about Korn. Just maybe.
Here's the thing,
easy on the Sepultura guys.
Yeah, as a musician,
I'll take the Sepultura stuff out. I'll just, yeah.
This is a stigma.
You're making me edit, man.
This is a stigma that musicians face. I don't think it's fair. Oh, you create music, so you may not have an opinion on other music. I think that's bullshit. Because we're fans first. We're fans first. So if we say that fucking album sucks, it's because we like the band. We're a fan of the band. But we can't say that because, well, what have you done that's as big as what they've done?
Right.
Fuck
exactly.
you. I've done stuff, but I'm a fan. I'm speaking as a fan. There's a bizarre stigma about musicians talking about other bands in you know, unfavorable lights. And I think it's bullshit. Yeah, we're allowed to have an opinion.
We are, but I do see one side of it I do see though is like, you know, I always try to put myself in somebody else's position. Yeah. And it's like, you know what? It doesn't matter what I fucking think. You know?
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, right.
Because somebody likes it and they're allowed to fucking like it. And the band that I'm trashing has worked very hard to do what they're doing. You know? It's not for me to take it away from them. But between us, like, yeah, shit's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is. You can always preface it with, you know, like it's fine if, you know, somebody listens to this band, but I just fucking hate them. I can't stand Limp Bizkit. I mean, I got drunk one night on the Vindicator page and went onto a Limp Bizkit post. It was a metal injection post or something. It was where Fred Durst was canceling because he was concerned about his crew and things because of COVID. And the headline was, it was fun while it lasted. And I was like, this is going to be hilarious 3 beers deep. And I wrote, it was never fun. Holy shit, man. Just me saying, there were people threatening his life below me. But because we were a band, bands can't talk shit on other bands. Well, what the fuck, man? Like, I was just having a laugh and you guys are taking this super seriously. But I still don't like Limp Bizkit. And again, at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck who does. If that's your thing, that's fine. But I should be able to say they suck and you can say, no, they don't. And then we agree to disagree and we go on, you know, but these people, man, they took it to heart. It was good. And I'm not doing that shit anymore. No more letting me near the band account while I'm drinking.
Yeah, dude. I feel you.
Okay, Jarvis, I want to do what we're calling blast beats. Real quick answer questions. When I ask you a question, it's a choice. You give me the choice. We're just going to blast right through these.
You got it.
All right. Hot dog or hamburger?
Hamburger.
Ketchup or mustard?
Both.
Favorite pizza topping?
Cheese.
Pen or pencil?
Pen.
Paperback or Kindle?
Paperback.
PC or Apple?
Apple.
Movie theater or streaming?
Movie theater. Movies are meant to be watched in a theater. That's why people make them.
Favorite holiday?
Halloween.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
Dog or cat?
Dog.
Marvel or DC?
EC.
Batman or Superman?
Neither.
Avengers or Justice League? Probably going to go with Justice League since you said DC.
Yeah. No, I said EC.
Oh, EC. Oh, EC. Yeah. Those are great. Those horror comics are fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you ever get the reprints that came out in the 90s?
Oh, fuck yeah.
The color reprints?
Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sell them at the newsstand at the little shop. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those are awesome. Those are great. All those reprints, man. To read those comics from the 50s and to see why the parents were so outraged. I mean, when I read that story about the baseball player, the one that launched the whole seduction of the innocent thing about the baseball player who was found that the other guy was like banging his wife. And so they had this game where like essentially they gutted him and used his entrails for the baseline. And the catcher is using his torso for a protection plate, and they're using a leg for a baseball bat and throwing his head. I'm like, fuck, man, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna name a band. And I want you to tell me your favorite album by that band, and if you think they're shit, you just say that. Okay, Black Sabbath.
I don't have a favorite.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I think the best album is Paranoid. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but if you want to talk about a full album of songs and the cohesiveness of it and the weight of every song, it's got to be that. Yeah.
Okay. Judas Priest.
Ooh, oh, fuck, man. These are fucking impossible questions. Like I've got a 5-album era. I've got Sad Wings up into the Unleashed in the East, but if I had to pick one, I'd pick Sad Wings of Destiny. Yeah.
Okay. Halloween.
Whatever. The song.
Okay.
You know,
Rush.
The first record. I've Neil Peart's not on it, but that's a fucking rock album, man. I'm not a real proggy guy, you know. Like I need something listenable, you know.
Okay.
I need something I can fuck to, you know.
Okay. Well, speaking of Iron Maiden.
Fuck. Well, the first one.
Okay.
I mean,
go ahead.
It's hard. Sorry, no. I'm gonna go with Number of the Beast.
All right.
I've done this in my head a lot. Testament. I really like the album Low a lot, and that might be unpopular opinion, but I really like that
favorite.
album.
It's like super fucking heavy. Oh yeah, we did a Testament kind of bottoms up where we talked a deep dive.
Did? Okay.
And the Testament, we will love Low as a
top 5
high score. Yeah, it's a
great ballad on that album. You got John Tempesta on drums. I think James Murphy stepped in there on that one. For a 90s record especially, that's probably the best 90s metal album. I mean, like it's incredible. I really like that. But obviously I like Practice What You Preach too. But again, I think in those days it's kind of like it's the record you get and that you listen to. It's not like these days you're just like, oh, I get into new bands, listen to their whole catalog. Okay, that one's better than that, you know. So Low is my favorite. Yep.
Excellent. Overkill.
See, it's tough because I'm gonna pass on that one. I don't have a favorite. I'm gonna pass on that one.
Okay,
sorry.
No problem.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. It's all right. Anthrax.
Among the Living. I mean, like, let's just because something's the most popular doesn't mean it's probably good for a reason, you know. I mean, I wish the production value was a little bit higher on that record, but I mean, it's
got some great songs on it. I mean, a lot of tracks are killer.
That's the one, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Megadeth.
I'm gonna say Peace Sells, but I'm gonna give a special nod to So Far So Good So What. That's a record that I can listen to every day. And I couldn't for a long time because the production's really strange, but now my ear is used to it. But Peace Sells is fucking incredible. Yeah, you know.
Okay,
I think Rust in Peace is in that conversation, but I think Rust in Peace is just one long, really good thrash song.
There you go.
Yeah,
and the last one, Slayer.
I actually like Seasons of the Abyss. That's my favorite Slayer record. It's the last of the big trilogy of good Rick Rubin albums. It's the last great album I think they made as a band. And yeah, you know, I mean, with all bands that I love, it's the first 4 or 5 albums versus the first 10 years. That block. So whatever comes first. After that, you know, fuck off.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Thank you. You know, we're all fans of other artists, and you have met so many people and you work with so many other bands. Do you have a favorite piece of memorabilia, like from a fan's point of view?
Yeah.
And what is that piece?
I have a cup that Lars Ulrich gave me on the 1996 Load tour, Poor Touring Me. They used to come out for the show with the house lights on that tour and like surprise the audience and go and jam. And he would come out and with like a vodka orange juice and like drink it and like spit the shit on the crowd. You can't do that anymore. Now he just spits water, you know. But I went to 22 shows on that tour. I got my driver's license that year, and I just followed the band on tour. And I was at the Continental Arena in New Jersey, and Corrosion Conformity opened, I remember. And after they came off, Lars came out, and crowd was going wild, and he fucking handed me this cup full of like vodka and orange juice. And me and this guy from Mexico next to me downed it. You know, I was 16, and just like, it was great. And I still have the cup, you know, and I have a little thing marked on it. But I've got some like pics from the band on that tour. I got one of James's wristbands. I was at the LA show, and he threw a wristband to me and said, "Great catch." And I ended up getting a bootleg tape of that show, and I just listened to it on repeat, like, he's talking to me, you know? So it's Metallica stuff, you know, that I have. That's pretty much it. And I do have a Van Halen road case from the 1981 Fair Warning tour. It was Eddie's road case from Tokyo, and it holds 3 of his Marshall heads in it. And it's got the Van Halen stencil on it, and it's great. It's a flat case, and it's got wheels, and I use it as a coffee table. So
Nice.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah.
That's cool. I want to do a game called Name That Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be sharing my screen here. Yes.
Here we go.
Here we go. All right. So Night Demon is playing in a festival with 2 other bands. We're going to spin the wheel. We're going to see who those other 2 acts are, and then you are going to come up with the name of the festival. Cool?
Yeah. Okay. Like, what? I just make up a name, or
No, yeah. Actually... Well, depending on who the 3 acts are, you're going to look at the 3 acts, and you're going to decide, okay, what the fuck name is this festival with these 3 groups playing?
Like, I'm going to create a fictitious name for a festival?
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. That's exactly it. Okay. So it's Night Demon. And then
so this is not something that happened in history.
No.
Okay.
Stevie Wonder. Nice. Okay. So Stevie Wonder. Nice. Okay. We good.
Okay.
And who else is coming? Oh, Radiohead.
Stevie Wonder.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So there we are.
So what do I do now?
You got the festival, Radiohead and Stevie Wonder and Night Demon are playing. I want you to name this festival. Like, okay, what the fuck would this festival be called if these were the 3 acts that were playing it?
And okay, yeah, in that order: the blind, the boring, and the brave.
We have a winner.
There we go. Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And that's fantastic.
Or how about this? How about this? Songs in the key of what the fuck?
I'm just imagining all the t-shirts now, all the merch. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah, I know you're pretty busy and everything, like, you know, with all your bands and managing and all that, but are you watching anything fun on streaming services, you know, Netflix, Prime, Hulu, Disney, anything good like that?
Yeah, I subscribe to Shudder, which is you know, horror. They're getting better with their programming. You know, a lot of things in movies, it's unfortunate these days. You know, we talked about franchising and stuff like this, and you know, the movie studios are no longer willing to get behind something good and artistic and something that has something to say. They want to get behind these big brands and just water them down and just put all this money into it. And it's unfortunate because there's so many great independent filmmakers out there that have a great voice and are doing some fantastic writing and have a lot of talent. And a lot of their stuff just falls by the wayside, especially with COVID. There's no film festivals happening. And, you know, these films are not getting theatrical releases, you know? So although the streaming services are great, a lot of times it's like you're just reading shitty log lines and looking at shitty artwork, you know? Like, it's all about it's like an album, man. It's all about the cover and the title and the tagline, you know? It's like, I think that's really important, and especially in the genre of horror. And, you know, I think you got companies like Blumhouse that are making a ton of horror movies, which are great at a low budget. I think that's really cool because they give creators final cut and they give them creative freedom to make these films at a very low budget. But what the message that sends to the movie studios is it tells them that horror is not worth anything. And the name horror has always been a stigma. Like, that's why people, you know, now if you want a horror movie taken seriously, you know, you can't call it that. You have to, you know, be like, you know, it's a psychological thriller, you know, or it's a, you know, something
cerebral.
Exactly.
I really like the Korean horror films I've been getting. A lot of great Korean horror, man. Excellent.
There is, and Shudder has a lot of that stuff. They do a lot of international stuff, which I think is great. Yeah. And look, you know, cool thing is, hey, look, you could film a movie on your iPhone if you do it right. You know, I think I just like bands. I love filmmakers that they just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm not waiting for somebody to tell me it's okay for me to make a movie. You know, and I will always go see something like that over the bullshit that's in the theaters now. Like, it's really shitty, man. It's sad what's happening to the movie watching experience, you know? I mean, movies are made to be watched in a theater. There's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. You will get a totally different experience, you know? So I hope anybody that watches movies on streaming, which I still do, you know, every night, turn your phone off, turn the lights off, give it some attention, you know, like give it your focus. You know, it's hard. Right. We live in a society where we, you know, there's a lot of distractions, you know, and there's a lot of we're a weird group of people, and a lot of us are living in half the generation, you know, half our lives were, you know, we did read books and we went out and played and rode bikes, you know, and then the other half we have this, you know, supercomputer in our pockets, you know, where we got all this information, which is great. I think it's fucking great. You know, I like being a part of both worlds, but let's hang on to some of the traditions. Patience is a very important thing. Patience and focus. If we can focus on something one at a time, I promise you, you will enjoy it. You will.
Excellent.
Well said.
Yeah. Guys, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask before we get out of here?
Well, I guess so. Now I know Jarvis Night Demon has an upcoming album being released, and you just released 2 singles recently for it, which are great. Anything else going in Night Demon news, or what's happening with Cirith in the near future?
Yeah, so we have it's a compilation album called Year of the Demon, out March 25th. We released 5 7-inch singles in the year 2020. And there were B-sides on those singles that were only on the 7 inches. So most people didn't hear those because those sold out pretty quick. So this is kind of a re-release of that stuff since we didn't tour on it. So it's 10 tracks, and we're going to hit the road in May with Midnight in Europe for a month. And we've got a bunch of summer festivals. We're doing that fall tour in the States, like I explained, more stuff in Europe. I think we have about 100 shows this year. So, wow. Yeah, it should be great.
That's good. Are you going to be coming to Cleveland?
We will be in October.
Oh, yep. Nice. Excellent.
Yeah. So we'll
Sorry
be in
to interrupt
October.
You.
No.
You said Cirith Ungol's playing too?
Yeah, Cirith Ungol's got, I think, like 10 or 12 shows this year, which is really good for them, you know, getting back on the horse. So we'll be there for that. And yeah, you know, all the bands are doing well. Everybody's kind of back at it. And it's pretty cool. You know, I went to England a couple weeks ago, and then Scotland last weekend for a couple shows. And it's pretty cool to be in a room again. And you kind of forget this pandemic thing even happened, you know? It's not until like somebody spits in your face. Like I got spit in the eye the other night. This guy was like close talking to me. And I was all like, yeah, fuck that thing. Like, cause like, you know, I was like, shit, you know, but like, then it happened 3 more times. I was fine, you know, but like, it's
they cancel each other out.
Yeah. We've got a war to focus on.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. We got bigger problems, man. You know, we got to fuck all this virus killing people. You know, what happened to us? We kill people, you know, fuck the virus. We got to do it, you know?
That's it, man.
So
Hey, would it be too much to ask to do a bumper for us? This is Jarvis Leatherby of Night Demon, Cirith Ungol. You're watching and listening to Heavy Metal Horror. Would you be cool with that?
No.
Okay, cool. All right, thank
you. All right, you ready? All right.
Yeah.
This is Jarvis Leatherby from the heavy metal band Night Demon. You're listening to Heavy Metal Horror.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
All right. You guys are awesome, man.
Thanks, man. We've had a good time. Hope you've had a good time with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nice. Let's do it again. We got a new record, Night Demon new studio, new music coming out November 4th. So maybe we could get something going on for that or early next year.
Yeah, come on back.
I know you guys are pretty backed up, so let's make something happen.
The fall's wide open, so that's good. Yeah, we're as free as a baloney wench. You know. So
All right,
we're going to do our outro. We're going to have you come in with the horns at the end here. Okay. So you can find Heavy Metal Horror on unsanedradio.com. Listen to full episodes or download to your device. You can find us on Facebook, Heavy Metal Horror Podcast. On Instagram, look for Montag Lewis, one word. Our YouTube page, that's where you're at, Heavy Metal Horror Podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you know someone who would like our show, tell them about us. And this has been Montag, Master of Illusion,
Chop Top,
Dreadbull,
Wildcard.
And here we go. Bring up your horns, Jarvis. And you've been watching and listening to Heavy Metal Horror. Excellent.
This is Doug Helvering, and you have been listening to Heavy Metal Horror, the best podcast that you've never heard before.